31st October 1973. After months of preparation, buses of the newly formed Singapore Bus Service rolled out for their trial run from Changi to Jurong. This was a new era in the history of Singapore's public transport. Once there were 11 bus companies on the island, but now only one, the SBS. Under colonial rule, public transport in Singapore was left to private enterprise. Those who could afford it provided their own transport. Others walked. And the more enterprising ones made a living by transporting others. One of the first passenger transport companies that was set up was the Singapore Traction Company, formed in 1925. European-owned, it began by operating trolley buses. It was given certain privileges by the colonial authorities. For instance, it had the license to operate the busiest and most lucrative routes within the city. As passenger loads increased, its fleet expanded to 400, and by 1953, these were replaced by petrol-driven buses. Out in the rural areas, on the other hand, public transport was badly neglected. Seeing the economic potential, enterprising Chinese businessmen set up their own bus companies to ply these areas. There were 10 such companies, and these included the Tekoyat and Hockley bus companies. Most of them were family-owned. They were relatively small, and their routes were few. And unlike the STC, they were not allowed to operate in city areas. Up till the 50s, the bus service was inconvenient for commuters. Those traveling to the city had to change buses, and much time was wasted on waiting. Besides, most of the bus companies were badly managed, and this resulted in bus disputes. Poor working conditions, low pay, and a restive bus union. In the 50s, all this led to work stoppages and strikes, which disrupted bus services. Such incidents included the Hockley bus riots and the strike by the Tekoyat Bus Company in 1955. The strikes gave pirate taxis a flourishing business, and this ate into the earnings of the bus companies. Nothing much was done to improve the bus system during the Labour Front government. In the early 60s, the bus companies were left to develop on their own. The Tekoyat Company, for example, set up its own assembly plant. It was only in 1965 that an effort was made to improve our bus transport system. A government committee recommended that bus routes should be reorganized to avoid the duplication of routes. To ensure fair competition, privileges previously given to the STC were removed. The government encouraged the 10 Chinese bus companies to amalgamate into 3 larger companies. Their buses took on a new coat of paint to reflect this change. The associated bus services serving the east, the United Bus Company in the north, and the Amalgamated Bus Company in the western part of the island. Faced with this new competition, the STC found it difficult to survive. At the end of 1971, its buses returned to the depot for the last time, and the company called it a day. Its fleet was absorbed by the Chinese bus companies. But having a larger fleet only complicated matters for them. For a start, many of the buses were too old to be on the roads. Besides, many of the Chinese bus operators did not trust each other and continued to operate as though they were individual companies. Even with the reorganization, the bus companies continued to be poorly managed.
以前我们分配给我们坐的车啊，时常都是那些比较跟那配车员比较好的啦，有说有私利的或者跟他有来往的，他们就叫的比较好的车了。那些比较跟他这些配车员啊不合作或是怎样啊，他们时常都是没得做，或是就要给他们做，都是那些车有毛病的，时常跑到半路就坏车的，这些种种的事。
是的车啊是很陈旧了，好像啊那个制止器啊就不灵了，你这边踩不灵啊，要很远才会停啊。
The problem was compounded by increased traffic on the roads. The government had to curb the car population, but before it could do this, the bus system had to be improved so that there would be better alternative transport. It was believed that this could be achieved by having only one bus company. The Chinese bus companies then decided to merge into an even bigger company, and so in 1973, the Singapore Bus Service was formed. SBS buses began running officially on the 1st of November 1973. While it inherited the fleets of its component bus companies, it also took on all their problems. More than half the buses broke down at one time. Finally, a government team joined the SBS to help solve its problems.
We want to establish a totally new, modern organization, completely different from the old setup. The next goal that we set up was that we must show immediate improvement in the level of services we provided to the members of the public. There shouldn't be this frequent breakdown of buses, dirty buses, and rude conductors and buses coming to bus stops and not stopping, even when passengers were signaling for them to stop.
SBS underwent many changes during this period. New blood was injected into the management, the buying of new and better buses, and the implementation of tighter discipline and a modern management system. All these took SBS on the road to better service. Since then, SBS has not looked back. It has worked hard to earn itself the recognition it has today as an efficient bus company that consistently looks into providing better public transport for this island.